My name's Eddie Winters. You're tuned into the Rock and Roll Coup d'etat. Jeremy Wheat in the hot seat. Jeremy, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. We've been talking all morning long about
Melton Mikes.
Melton Mikes, baby. We've got a guest joining us all the way from Los Angeles, California, a legend, iconic singer, bass player, has been in many groups, Trapeze, Deep Purple, performed with Tony Iommi, and the list goes on. And his name is Glenn Hughes. Glenn, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we?
We are doing sensational. We've got some applause for you.
Yeah.
Let me bring that in for you.
Clap it up, fan base.
Oh, how nice. How nice of you. I love it up there. How is it up there? Is it lovely weather up there right now?
It's terrible. It's very British. You'd enjoy it.
It's foggy. It's
That's
raining.
why I moved to California, my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the best of it down in L.A.
San Francisco is a British weather preserve. Didn't you hear?
It's all fog and rain this morning, but Glenn, it is
man.
To have
God
you
bless
on.
you up there. I love it up there.
To have you on is like a ray of sunshine. You, my friend, are. I mean, I don't even I don't know. Forgive me. I'm going to compliment you, but you embody rock and roll. And you are the epitome. This show is called the Rock and Roll Coup d'etat, and we've had a lot of guests, but you, my friend, are the epitome of rock and roll, the embodiment, and it is a pleasure to have you on and share your morning with us. I'm excited. You've been busy. You've got
My pleasure.
a lot of projects, and I want to first start off by saying we're excited. You're going to be going on the road coming up, I believe in September, October, going out for 2 months in Europe. You've got to be on the edge of your seat, excited about hitting the road again.
I am. I'm really excited. It's I haven't really done a solo tour in about 7 years, and I'm going to go out globally, and also going to make a solo album this year, and get back to doing my solo work, which has been sort of something that I really wanted to get back to. So I've been very, very fortunate to have done things in my life that I'm kind of proud of. So, it's the songs that keep me coming back. It's all about the songs. It's really all about the music for me. Now, if we'd have been doing this interview 30 years ago, it would have probably been about a bunch of other things as well,
right,
if you know what I mean.
Of course.
But now it really is about, the songs and how they were written and how I've, sort of kept myself in shape over the years and to be able to get on the stage and do what I do.
I've got to be honest. I mean, your voice is one of the most powerful rock voices. And for you, I mean, hitting the stage in 2015, it sounds just as perfect as it was, 35 plus years. How do you maintain such a, I guess, the iconic voice? How do you keep that up after all these years?
I got to tell you, I try to tell people the same answer as over the years. I think it's a matter of, it's a gift, obviously. I was born to sing, as certain people are born to be architects or doctors or sports athletes, and it's a gift, and I've been freely given this gift, and I have recognized that I have to take care of that gift.
Right.
Hence my getting a lot of sleep. Hence my warming my voice up and doing throat exercises and vocal exercises and not drinking any milk and blah blah blah. It's a matter of one taking care of that gift and living that fruitful life.
Absolutely, and it stands intact and gorgeous. And I want to say, we were talking about going on the road and putting together a solo record. Have you pieced together a band? Because I know you've played with so many great musicians, and to put a band together, I mean, you're going to be pulling from some of the finest musicians around, I would imagine. How is that process going, shaping up, looking towards this?
It's going great. I mean, for me, my band is interchangeable because I like to keep things fresh, and I like to bring, I'm really kind of a loyal guy to keep the same band, but I also like to bring people in from time to time and into my world that have been wanting to play with me, that are my friends. So, you know, you may see some people you know, and that's the great thing about going out to play again, is that I can have people come and guest with me who have been sort of waiting for a while, and I've been waiting for them. So more will be revealed as we move forward.
Right. And have you? And you've been. I mean, obviously, you've got a huge discography of solo work, and obviously with other great musicians. And you're planning to write some new, I guess, a new release. What is that process for you? What inspires you as far as writing this material, picking a direction? You know, how does that come about?
Yeah, I got to tell you the truth, guys. Oh, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I would really, when I knew I was going to make an album, it's normally every 18 months or 2 years, you know. When I went in to make a record, I would, like 3 months before, I would sort of, you know, go into my studio and I would write 12, 15 songs. And therefore, then I'd finish the songs, then I'd go make the record, then I'd go on the road. And about 7 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, things changed. I started to write literally every single day, and I'm talking 365 a year on my birthday and Christmas Eve and Thanksgiving. I'd find myself in my studio writing simply because I had no choice. It was almost channeled that I had to do that, you know. And I, you know, started to write a lot of songs, and that's when I formed Black Country Communion.
Right.
And I got to write a lot of songs for that band, and California Breed, of course, which just broken up.
Right.
And now I'm, you know, since Christmas I've wrote 20 songs. It's only like June the 1st today, so I'm sort of ready to, if you will, ready to go and make my next. I haven't released a solo album in 7 or 8 years, so this is my first one, so I'm really excited about it. I don't know when I'm going to go in, but I know I'll have an album out early next year.
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, if you've already got 20 songs in 6 months' time, you're going to have a lot of songs.
But then again, you know, you got to imagine if I've been actually for the last like 5 months being really at home and my studio is in my house, it's like, you know, all I got to do is brush my teeth in the morning, have some breakfast, and I'm like go in there and I'm sort of working away.
Sure.
It's actually, to me, it really isn't work. It's like art for me. It's like painting a picture. It's like
living and breathing.
I think times have changed with writers. Some people go through, and God forbid this ever happens to me. I know Sting's gone through a writer's block, you know,
right,
and other artists who I admire. That has not happened to me yet, and I say yet with brackets. So
right.
I think I've got a lot of things to sing about. Definitely, I think people call me a messenger, and I'm really proud to be that.
I would agree. I mean, I think, you know, I mean, looking at the career, when you first got into writing, did you, I mean, obviously your style has remained intact as far as your approach, being a soulful, a hard rock, and having the bass being just an extension of your body. But has your perspective, I mean, throughout this time period, you've been through a lot, has your perspective
oh my God.
crystallized?
It's incredible. I mean, I had no idea you were going to ask me this question, but the obvious answer to that is when I was in my early 20s, and I listened to the lyrics I was writing, and I'm going, okay, I'm singing about girls maybe, or I'm singing about grooves, and I'm singing about, you know, stuff, you know.
Like
and
you
then,
do.
you know, then I'd listen to Neil Young, you
Right.
know, I'd listen to his lyrics, and I'd go, oh my God, listen to that. Then I listened to Dylan, you know, and I'm going, oh my God, these guys are so young, and they're so wise, and they've so much wisdom, you know, and all these years later, when I look back at the lyrics I wrote when I was, say, 22, what's happened between then and now is that I have become wise.
Right.
One gets older, and one obviously finds a calmness in their life, and the walking through the fear, which is a real big element in life. You have to walk through fear, you have to walk through all these things in order to get to the next level, if you will.
Right.
So the lyrics for me now are very important on the work that I make, you know. And that has gotten better over, I mean, some of the stuff I was writing in the 80s was like, oh my God, it's like, what am I singing about here? You know,
Right.
And I think Robert Plant would tell you the same story.
Yeah, that's kind of it's like a self-discovery, and I think or a self
It
kind
really
of
is.
and it seems like you've got a sense of, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, like a more of a spiritual grounding. It seems like in your time now, it's like you are looking at
Well,
your
listen, guys. I think if you know anything about me, I have a book out, and the book discusses. You know, I mean, I've been tied up and pistol whipped.
Right.
I've been stabbed. I've been shot at. I've been caught on fire. I've had a heart attack, and those things, you know, don't happen to a lot of people, and they survived. And a lot of that was behind the fast lane life that I was in, you know.
Right.
I'm not, you know, glamorizing that at all,
Of
because
course.
back in the day, in the 70s, you know, it was okay to do things that it's not okay to do any longer, you know.
Right.
We all thought cocaine was a bit of a little social drug. Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
But all these years later, we know about those things, and I've lost so many friends due to, you know, inappropriate behavior. But I think all the stuff I've been through has made me the guy I am today,
Of
good,
course.
bad, or indifferent. I'm breathing on my own on the right side of the grass and making music for people that understand what I've been through, and maybe, just maybe, they've been going through it as well, and they're looking for something to help them get through it. Hence, one more time, this messenger thing is really important for me. I think we have to be messengers in art. We have to give people hope.
Do the thing that no one else can. Like if
Yeah, man. It's I say again, guys. It's a gift.
Right.
Each one of us on this planet, and most of us don't know we've been given a gift. And I didn't know it for a long, long time that it's a gift, you know. And I'm really, really super grateful that I'm still here.
That, you know, we are as well, because it seems to have had to go to hell and back, and to be with the fire that, you know, is under you to release, make music, and perform is just inspiring. And I've got you've played with so many great musicians. I mean, if you look at the history of rock, you are intertwined with some of the most respected and talented. Let's talk a little bit about some of the projects you've done recently.
Sure.
I know that the Kings of Chaos is up to one thing that comes to mind. That's a group of
I love it. Kings of Chaos is a band. I remember being on a plane with my friend Matt Sorum and Duff McKagan.
right.
It would have been 2.5 years ago, and we were flying back from New York to L.A. And Matt and I and Duff were talking about, hey, you know, wouldn't it be great if we... This is Matt's idea, by the way. Matt's the brainchild behind Kings of Chaos.
Is that right?
What would you think if we could, like, put together a great laundry list of guys that would want to tour this thing and go out and do, a bunch of shows? And we started to put names together, and all these. Now, of course, you know, the whole thing started obviously 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, and now we're in our third year, and playing in the Bay Area, July 29th.
Look at that. Yes, we got to come out to that.
ding ding.
At the Fillmore, people,
right.
come on down.
That's quite a shack.
Exactly.
How many times do you think you played the Fillmore, Glenn?
Oh,
It's a
I
legendary
played there
rock
last
shack.
year, last November. I played the Fillmore, I'd say 3 times. I love that venue. I just love that venue.
It's one of the historic, just classic venues, and so this group is I mean, it's, as you mentioned, it's, Gilby from formerly of the Guns N' Roses, Matt, Duff. I saw Billy Gibbons was doing some shows, had done some shows.
Yeah, and Billy, and we've got Billy Duffy from the Cult. Steven Tyler comes
Right.
with us. No, not on the next one. And, we've got Robin Zander, and we've got
course.
Miles Kennedy, we've got Slash, Ed Roland from Collective Soul, Joe Elliott from Def Leppard.
Wow.
And Sammy Hagar's going to join us at the Fillmore.
Oh, that's great.
The Red Rocker.
It's a conglomerate of friends that that have known each other for 4 decades. Some of us 4 decades that have kept in touch and all are on the same side of the street, if you will. And we just really enjoy. Number one, we love the hang,
right,
and we love the camaraderie on stage. It's a really honest account of who we are as men. And sometimes women, so we like to have women come and jam with us too.
Sure.
Juliette Lewis has jammed with us. I think Ann Wilson's going to do the same. So here we go.
That, Ann Wilson, that's going to be a great addition to that because there's so much great music there. And
once again, Ann won't be with us on the 29th. Sammy's going to be there, and Miles and Slash is going to be there, and
wow.
It's Gilby and Matt and Duff, myself. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That is. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be great.
You mentioned the hang, Glenn, and it reminded me of something that Eddie and I were talking about before. You've been in the game for a really long time, and I don't think a sideman has your kind of longevity unless he's a good guy. Honestly, unless he's a get-along guy.
It truly is a matter of getting oneself together. I'm not saying
that you've always been perfect
and sober, but it's for us in this collective of guys. We're all sort of on that sort of same page where we've sort of been through so much. The stories we could tell. You could imagine.
Yeah.
Again, this is literally people that have known each other for a long, long time, and have stuck up for one another and been family members now for, I don't know. I've known Robin since 1976.
Wow.
And Joe Elliott's 81, and the Gunner guys from the early 80s, and I know Steven Tyler since 1974 when I was in Deep Purple. So this is a longevity of friendship that have stuck together, and we've all sort of hung in there. And I think the hang is important, isn't it? I think if you can hang with somebody and you can work with them, those two go hand in hand,
Well, I
so
think
the hang is really important.
Even your God-given talent only gets you so far.
And having those people,
look, a lot of young bands today, their longevity may not be as long as the ones we've had because the music industry is not what it used to be.
Of course.
It doesn't, it's not accessible like it used to be. It's so internet-driven. And by the way, we love the internet, and I adore the internet for what it's given to everyone, not just the young bands, but the older dudes like us. So it's the way it is. The things are changing so rapidly. In 2 years' time, there will not be any CDs. It'll just be downloads. It's just going in that direction. So, and long may vinyl live. And what's going to happen after vinyl? It's just going to be 3D holograms of music. I have no idea.
Right. I still will have trouble downloading a 3D hologram.
Seems likely.
I'm sure of it.
Tell me about it. Some of us aren't technologically inclined to do that, but
right. But
music is the center of the universe for a lot of people. It's not going to really change the world, but it really helps and heals the world and gets people through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And music is really the knowledge and the language that people speak.
Right.
It's the language that people speak all over the world.
And I was going to say, you mentioned a couple of groups that you had played with recently, one being California Breed and Black Country Communion. Those, a big chunk of your life devoted with these groups. And California Breed, I want to say, because I watched a live performance, and it may have been one of the early performances of that group. And this was an interesting group because you've got Jason Bonham on drums, who is a miraculous, hard-hitting, great drummer. And then you had a newcomer on guitar. And when you guys hit the stage, there was an electricity that I saw. It was
crazy because Andrew's 23 years old. He was a very young boy, very, very talented young man.
Right.
Grew up, playing. His father introduced him to classic rock when Andrew was barely able to pick a guitar up. And, he's a very, very, very talented young man. It was a great band. It really was. And Jason was, I've known Jason since he was 1 year old. I've known him since 1967 when I met his father.
Wow.
So that's a family member to me, and long may the music of California Breed live on in people's hearts.
Right, and I was going to say, I mean, to put a group like that together, I mean, that's part of, playing in bands, is that not knowing the longevity or how long a group of musicians are going to perform together, and what that product is, what you make at that moment is going to live on forever. But there's such I don't know. There was such a really excitement behind that sound. When you look at groups, I mean, are you thinking about the longevity? Or are you just living in that moment?
It's honestly, truly, guys, it really is a moment-to-moment thing, because it's back in the day. I'm talking now, even in the 80s. I mean, record companies would get behind bands and they would sort of nurture them and support them financially.
There are many stories of that, yeah.
And all that's gone now. So it's a matter of stability, and that what worries me about the young bands coming up, and there's some fantastic new music out there.
Right.
There's no financial help for them because the record companies don't do that any longer. So they have to do it themselves, or they have to do it social networking, or somehow they have to do that themselves.
It's very strange to me.
So music and the industry is complete. Well, the music is music. It's never going to change.
Right.
It's just the way it is. It's the people who inherit the gift to bring music to the thousands and millions of people around the world. I keep saying gift, but that's what it's all about.
Right, and I it's something that's a free thing that we can all benefit from, and all have a viewpoint on, and let us affect us in a positive way, and that's kind of that's the whole purpose. And I was going to say something. We talk about the music industry being, I mean, it's gone through a lot of changes, and as you were mentioning, there's no development for groups. There's no money behind groups to let them be artists. It's
No.
it's a lot harder. Could a
And
band?
that bothers me, because there are truly, I have a lot of young bands and young singers come to me for guidance, and it's like, I just clasp my hands together and go, oh my God, I'm so sad,
Right.
How can I help? Can I be of service? And for me, to try and be of service in some way, in any way, shape I can, is to do the right thing, We just live in a different time now.
Right. Let me ask you this, and this is a hypothetical, but a band like Deep Purple, could a band like Deep Purple, could they have existed in this climate of music industry?
It's debatable. It's debatable because, and guys, I come from an era, the early 70s, when you had, and the names I'm going to mention, and this is absolutely no disrespect to American bands,
Sure,
although
okay.
I am an American now.
Of course.
Obviously, I'm from England, as you can hear.
Happy to have
I
you.
was in a league of bands that were driven by Zeppelin, Sabbath, Purple, Floyd, Yes,
Right.
The Who. Of course, the Beatles and the Stones, we know that. But I'm coming from, there were 10 bands from Britain that were the most iconic bands ever, selling now billions of bloody albums.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, you can't name 10 bands of that ilk that have come across in the last 10, 15 years. It's just not there,
Right.
Who is the next Deep Purple or Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath?
And
Who
to
is
this
that?
day,
Or does anybody really want to be that? I don't think anybody really should try to be that.
Right.
But it's just a different time. I think myself, it's going back to organicness. I think it's going back to very simple: one guitar, one bass, drums, vocals.
Yeah.
I love the trio, and of course sometimes keyboards.
Of course.
But there used to be so many sort of compressed, overdubbed stuff, and now I think it's coming back to more organicness, which has really been missing.
One of the things that you'd mentioned, obviously, we bring a lot of these bands that you're talking about, like The Who and Led Zeppelin, and Deep Purple being one of those. I mean, Deep Purple was one of the biggest bands of the 1970s, and you guys at the height of, I guess, Deep Purple's fame. You guys, I mean, you guys rode in the Starship, one of
Yeah.
the highest. I guess I don't know if it's one of those trophy of classic rock, now classic rock. Iconic vehicles. Obviously, Led Zeppelin famously photographed with it. What was
And it was the four bands that used the Starship were Zeppelin, Purple, the Stones, and Elton.
right?
Ooh.
That's a cute.
Wow.
By the way, I mean that's a great group to be all associated with.
That's a great commodity to be around, and all those guys are my friends, and we. Oh my God! I mean, I don't want to tell stories on the
Sure.
on the radio, but there's so much. You can use your imagination, people, because what you think happened on that plane actually did happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was a flying dressing room and a flying cocktail lounge and a flying
It was
hotel. All of these
weird
things.
and wonderful.
I can imagine.
How many songs were written on that plane? That's a great,
Oh, yeah. There's a thought.
You got to understand this. Back in those times, I don't think any music was being written. I think there was a lot of drinking and a lot of cavorting and a lot of shagging going on.
So
how about how many songs were forgotten on that plane?
That's the question.
That's
There we go.
No, there was one song wrote on that plane, and it was called "Love Don't Mean a Thing." I remember it. We were in the library. Get that,
Right.
library on the plane.
Lots of reading.
And I was sitting there with Blackmore, Lord Pace, and Coverdale. And we did write one song, "Love Don't Mean a Thing," and it was off the Stormbringer album. I don't know
Wow.
what made me think of that, but that is definitely one song.
One
we
of
did
those
write.
moments. And I was going to say, you mentioned John Bonham and meeting John Bonham in the late 60s. One of the greatest drummers, I mean, of all time, of rock and roll of all time. I mean, I can't even...
And and guys, I want to say this to anyone that's listening out there. We all knew John as Bonzo. I never called him Bonzo. I knew John Bonham. Bonzo was the guy that was used to go out there and tear things up.
Right.
But the John Bonham I knew was a family man, great husband, great father to Jason and Zoe. A lovely, lovely man that was taken from us because of his disease,
Right.
which a lot of us have, What a wonderful, wonderful man he was.
Yeah, man.
Best
And
drummer in rock and roll, bar none. There'll never be another Bonzo.
rock drumming is
Sorry,
still
there'll never
stuck
be
in
another
his
John Bonham.
tire tread.
Yeah, I mean, he cast a huge shadow on rock and roll with his drumming. It's interesting.
And guys, and I was with Bonzo a lot. I should call him Bonzo. I was with John a lot.
Here you did it.
We went to see a lot of other bands, and he was a huge fan of other drummers. I mean, a huge fan.
Wow.
Huge fan. And that's the beauty of him. And people like that are so iconically great that their ears are open and their hearts are open to wanting to learn and take lessons from other musicians.
Right.
I love that.
Right.
I love that. It's great.
It-
Anybody that comes to me, anybody in my industry and says, "I think I've got it, man. I think I've got it." No. You haven't got it. You're on the way to getting it.
right.
If I said to you guys, I've nobled the art of singing. I know how to sing perfectly every night of my life. I'll go, no, because I'm still learning. I will be a student of music and the voice till the day they put me in the earth.
Right.
Wow.
And that's kind of to stay humble, with I guess with the talent, knowing that you can perform, knowing that you're always learning. It's kind of, you have to stay in that mindset, or you compromise the whole thing, I believe.
It is true. And again, guys, if we were doing this interview 40 years ago, I'd be probably babbling to you. I'd be nice and kind, by the way, but I'd be a different man. I'd be a young lad that was probably looking for his next thing to do that was not musical.
So
Right.
It'd
You know,
probably be
music
a shorter
was getting
interview.
in my way. But music is the only reason I'm still here. It's kept me completely centered. It really has.
I love it. And I want to mention. So a couple of years ago, you did put out a book. We talked a little bit about that. What was the process? I mean, I know that you've you talked about you not being ready to talk, to tell that part of your life. What prepared you, or how did you get into the mindset to finally say to yourself, "I'm ready to share with the world this part of my life"? How did you arrive at that?
When I got out of Betty Ford in 1992, in February, I was asked by a major publisher to do an autobiography, and I declined because the book would only be about the rise and the fall
Right.
of someone, somebody so young that was, eventually found his way into the drug world. And that book would have been a torrid tale. So I decided that if someone would ask me after I'd had some sobriety under my belt, and lo and behold, 6 years ago, a company came to me and asked me if I would to do a book, and I said yes, and I started to write a book, and it took about a year, and I got the book done, and then I realized I wasn't telling it all. I didn't talk about the times I relapsed, and as a sober man, I can't go out there and say that I was completely clean at some point in my life when I actually was taking those steps to go to Amsterdam and sit on a bar stool and drink.
Right.
Lo and behold, it's none of my business what other people do, but I had to be very frank and honest. And it took me two more years to write about my geographical relapses. There were only 5.
Okay.
But those 5 relapses, when I wrote them down on paper and put them in the book and people have read them, has kept me centered because, I didn't want to go out and tell people that I beat the devil when I actually didn't beat the devil the first time.
Right.
Sometimes, and, I don't want anyone to have a relapse, but sometimes people do. I just didn't want to tell you about them, but I couldn't release a book without actually being really, really, really frank and rigorously honest, because that's the reason I'm still here. Honesty and to be honest, it really means everything.
And it may be that relearning those lessons were what ultimately taught you.
Look, guys, I had to show my butt. I had to really show my butt and talk about stuff that was really, really making me shiver with shame.
Right.
How low it really got. Yes, I had a heart attack, which it's in the book. And yes, I did so-and-so and this and so-and-so, yes. And I was a liar, cheat, and a thief. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I spoke about it all. It was... I didn't want to portray myself as this flamboyant cock guy, that shagged all these women.
All right, that would be fair too, I imagine.
Really, that I was I was pathetic, into drugs and drinking, and I was not showing up, and I was letting myself down, and I wasn't the man I am now. But the best thing I ever did was take those 2 years out of my life to write the frankness and honesty about that book, which has really, really centered me.
And since the book has been released, has the reception and from the fans and from other musicians when they get the full story, how has that been since the release? I mean, have you noticed your life being positively affected by that?
It has. I mean, a lot of my friends have read the book. In fact, I'm having dinner with Duff McKagan tonight, who's got a fantastic book out right now.
Right.
All my friends that have walked the same path as me, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We've all sort of read each other's books, and we sort of, akin to each other's lives, So, again, I'm not telling people don't have a drink or don't do this. It's
sure.
like, for me, I just couldn't release a book without telling you the sordid details.
Right.
About. I mean, I have a slogan, and the thing is, the motto for me is, I don't have any secrets, because the secrets I have or had damn near would kill me.
Right.
I can't walk the walk if I don't talk the talk. I can't live a life without telling you how deeply dark it was and how pathetic it all was, I didn't want to gloss over my life because it was all fantastic and it was all gold records and there's this and there was that, but there was also the dark side, that bloody dark side, which almost took my life. By the skin of my teeth, having a heart attack, and I had an open heart surgery 18 months ago.
Wow.
Which I shouldn't be here, but I still am.
How do you from having such a serious surgery? I mean, that's a huge. I don't know. I mean, a mark in your life. How was the recovery? Obviously, I mean, you're back making music, but how do you, I guess, get back step after step? You get knocked down, you come back up. How do you do that in your mind? How do you focus in on that and stay Glenn? You know what I mean? How do you?
Well, I've never really spoke about it in an interview before. I mean, people have asked me, but I've never really. So I'll gloss over it with you now.
Sure.
I'll make it brief, but I'll make it real. When I got sober in '92, I went to a cardiologist after I got out of Bedford, and they noticed that I had a heart murmur that had probably been since I was a child, but my aorta, the major valve in the heart, as you know, was enlarged. So over the course of the last 25 years, 24 years, I've been going to my cardiologist that they measure the aorta. They can go in there and measure it. And over the course of the last 20-something years, my aorta was getting enlarged. And remember John Ritter, the great actor? Yeah. Remember he died, 15 years ago?
Sure, yeah.
If you remember, he died, he had a tear in his aorta.
Right.
His aorta tore at 6.1 centimeters. Wow. The average size males is 2.9, the girls 2.7.
Gosh.
So 2 years ago, I was had a checkup, and my aorta was 5.5, which is operable.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I knew I had to go in. So I went on the road with Kings of Chaos and Slash and the guys and Duff and Matt and Gilby. We were in Africa, and I was on stage, the last song, and I had this extreme heartbeat, real fast, So I walked off the stage, and we had a doctor traveling with us. He calmed me down, took me to my room, calmed me down. And my heart was beating so rapidly, he gave me some medication to calm me down. And for some reason, I was really, really super calm. He called my cardiologist in Santa Monica. They put me on the plane the next day. And remember, I didn't tell a soul about this. Wow. No one knew about this. Nobody knew in the band about this. Put me on the plane, and when I got to LA, they measured my aorta. It was 7.5.
Oh, gracious. Wow.
That is ridiculously low. That was like an incredibly high number to see it here. So I went in and had the surgery, and again, if I hadn't got clean and sober, I wouldn't have known about that heart murmur, which had caused my aorta to enlarge. It's a long kind of a story there, but I think it's the first time I really spoke about it on air, so now everybody can
it's very potent.
Indulge in what I've been through.
Right, and we appreciate the honesty because it's.
And by the way, guys, I never really wanted to go public with this, but for some reason, Billboard magazine, my friend Gary Graff found out about this and called me about it, and I declined to talk about it, and then I had to call him back and did about a year ago. I didn't want to go public with this because, I didn't want people to know about it. Just my wife and my mother and my father and my very, very, very close friends. Mm-hmm. It's something I really didn't want to go public with. But when the public got hold of it, I had to run with it a little bit. I couldn't really sort of like fake that I didn't have it.
Right.
So it's public record that I did have it. But I don't really feel inclined to talk so much about it because it's something which was really quite devastating, and I almost didn't make it. It was kind of scary in that hospital for a minute.
Wow, that's incredible, and it's, and that's the thing. I believe that once you've gone through something like that, you probably are changed a little bit once you've gone through an ordeal like that, and I've got to say, it seems though on the surface that you are as productive as inspired and charged and ready to go. Since that, is it something that you? I guess now looking back after the 18 months or so, are you finding your perspective and realizing we're moving on, and obviously you're doing the tour in a few months. Is it something that you're consciously always thinking about, or are you just kind of moving forward?
That's a great question and a good statement. I'll say this to you. I'm not going to use the word God too much here, but whilst I was having the operation, they heavily sedated me with anesthesia, 3 different kinds. So the recovery, gentlemen, the recovery was difficult. It was about 7 or 8 weeks until I was able to be around people. And again, remember, I sang at Matt Sorum's wedding, sang at his wedding, and he didn't even know it.
Wow.
I didn't discuss this with anybody, Slash and Matt and Duff, and all the people I was working with. I didn't tell them until 6 months ago.
Wow.
I didn't really want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But since the operation and since my recovery, it seems that I have a message to talk about. And I'm just not talking about the operation per se. I'm just talking about, it's a very spiritual progression that they seek. You know, a lot of my friends aren't lucky enough to be here, that aren't, you know, have passed on.
Sure.
So I'm a really, look, man, I'm beyond grateful to be on the right side of the grass. I really am.
Right.
I'm a very, very happy man. I'm really I surround myself with loving, nurturing people, and long that may continue.
I've got to say, I mean, it's you know, winding down. I want to say it's been so, I guess, just powerful to be able to have you on and share these the honest stories and share this part of your life. I think that, you know, we look forward to everything that you do, because again, as I started when we started this off, I mean, you embody the rock and roll. If there's one person that I believe has always sounded and has been, you know, an icon in this business, it is the voice that you have both on the bass and in the vocals.
Thank you, man. I mean, you know, there's a lot of great singers, man. A lot of great singers. A lot of new people. A lot of great singers, man. And it's a gift. I keep bringing that word up, gift. And anybody out there, young kids out there, or that are into the craft of whatever you do, whether it's, you know, in any walk of life that you do, if you feel that you have been given a special gift and you can't put that guitar down, or you can't put your track shoes out, or if you can't, you know, if you're designing a house, or if you feel that you've been given a gift, then embrace it.
Yeah.
Right.
Embrace it, because it's been freely given to you. And we need to share it. You need to go and share it with the rest of the world.
Well, you know what? We're so proud to have you on the program. And Glenn, you're going to be in the Bay Area in a couple of July, you said, at the Fillmore, and of course you're going to be going off to
July 29th. People at the Fillmore, come see us.
Come
It's going
see.
to be great show.
I can't wait. And you're online, obviously, GlennHughes.com, Facebook. You're on there, sharing with the fans.
Glenn_Hughes on Twitter, people.
Yeah.
That too.
Yes, Glenn. I gotta say, it has been an honor and a pleasure having you on the program. And we really do. We wish you the best of luck and great fortune the rest of this year and onward.
I want to thank you guys for being so kind and gracious with me this morning.
Oh, no.
What a beautiful day it is today, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Well, thank you
People out there, God bless you.
Right.
And long live rock and roll.
There it is. Glenn Hughes, thank you so much, sir. You have a great one.
You're welcome.
You got it. Take care, Glenn.
Bye, Glenn.
Thank you, guys.
You got it. Take care, Glenn.